Yes, my people. Yes, my people. Welcome to ATJ Vibe Live. So, guess what I'm now? We're growing closer. We're drawing closer and closer to the 22nd Football World Cup, Qatar 2022. To be shown on CVM TV in Jamaica, 20th of November to the 18th of December. You cannot afford to miss it. 32 teams, 64 games across 8 stadiums in 5 cities. From Al Bayt or Al Khor, which is the home of Al Bayt Stadium in the north, to Qatar in the central part of, well, Doha, that is. Well, everybody knows it, right? So Qatar will be hosting the World Cup finals for the first time, and of course, playing the tournament for the first time as host. This is the most important moment in history. If last time we know about a team that hosts the World Cup and played in the tournament for the first time and even going on to win it is Italy, and the year was 1934. But the first World Cup tournament started in 1930, and it came as no surprise for FIFA, who saw it fit to organize a professionalized World Championship tournament years after the first pro amateur tournament took place in the Olympic Games. Well, Uruguay were successful in 2 consecutive Olympic soccer tournaments, and FIFA felt it was best for the World Cup finals to be staged in Uruguay. So it took place on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the nation of Uruguay in South America, after securing their independence from the Brazilian Empire. So football finally descended in South America. Not all teams from Europe traveled to the World Cup. They felt it is totally too much for them in terms of economical matters or other matters. The truth is, this World Cup has something that we should all take notice of. Now, it's a different time of the year. It's being hosted than the usual June, July, or May, June, or even say July. Well, that was the case of 1966 tournament in, guess where? England. That's right. So, you have some interesting teams that are returning to the World Cup. Countries like Canada, who will be making their return after 36 years. The last time it was the year 1986, and guess what? Majority of the players have been exposed to professional football, whether it's inside of Canada or in the United States, their southern neighbor, or Mexico for that matter, or even say in parts of Europe like Germany. Take for instance Alfonso Davies, who has been played for the famous club of Bayern Munich, who is the many-time champions of the Deutsche Bundesliga. Yeah, well, at least Germany do fit the bill as prospective quarterfinalists, but the whole case has to be examined very closely. The truth is, my teams I have selected for the quarterfinals of this World Cup. Please note, I'm not a bandwagonist. I'm not a bandwagonist. But it's based on the culture of a survival of the fittest as relates to Qatar's World Cup. I'm going to tell you about that very shortly. Here's the truth. The temperatures in Qatar right now has not dropped to suitable standards for the good game of football. But if you check it out, there's this famous Jamaican reggae song performed by, guess who? Third World, led by the great late Bonnie Rocks. He had a song called 96 Degrees in the Shade, real hot. Now you're talking about a desert country. If the World Cup finals were played in the height of summer, between June, July, or July, it'd be too much for these European-based players. And you would have heard that many of them suffered heat stroke or died. Well, it's unfortunate to note that many of the construction workers who were involved in Qatar 2002 project to build the 7 new venues and to renovate one venue that was essential before the World Cup. It is something that I'll have to sit down and take a close look at. It is unfortunate in many aspects than one. FIFA have done their checks, so too Qatar authorities have to adjust to what the International Labour Organization dictates as it relates to safety as well as respectable working conditions that is wholesome for all. Well, I also believe that the kafala system should never be used any at all in this day and age, for that matter. Now, the most interesting part is the opening day is a Sunday, and it was originally to be a Monday, but they had to make sure that Qatar get their day for themselves to celebrate, even before the 19th of December, which is Qatari National Day. Qatari National Day reminds us of our very own Independence Day, which is the 6th of August, 1962. So every year, well, as far back as 1997, we make sure that August the 6th is celebrated where August the 6th takes into consideration, except if it falls on a Sunday, it's the following Monday. But anyway, we all know the truth as it is to August 6th in Jamaica. But Qatari Day is a very important day, and no if, no but, no holds bound. It's good for everything that's right, for football, and of course, national governance and stability. Anyway, I'm happy to know that the Qataris have get all the venues ready. But I'm a bit concerned about the road works and too much construction of other places. I am very concerned about the hotels, spaces that are available at this point, and no real semblance as far as concerned. Right now, there are overbooked tickets to stay at hotels. Many people have to find themselves in tents, and they'll have to carry even a proper fan to keep themselves cool and ensure that hydration is available everywhere. Speaking about tents, who remembers in the Islamic Republic of Iran, well, back then it was Persia, up to the year 1979, who remembers that great coronation of the Shah? Yes, that time they had it in an ancient era in Iran, far away from the capital of Tehran. It was a big celebration. Heads of government, heads of state, senior officials showed up. But before that, they had to literally do everything to make sure the place is habitable, suitable for at least one whole week. Not to mention to remove a lot of poisonous snakes, whether through explosives or chemicals, something had to be done. And that was how they deal with it. What happened afterwards, with the whole self-proclamation of King of Kings, really soured the relations of the people living in Iran. And for that matter, who remembers Khomeini, who was the supreme leader of Iran at the time of his return up until his death? Yeah, he said, this cannot work. And it is violating the tenets of the Quran based on what is set out in the Sharia law. And that is the nature of the Islamic world. But the truth is, this World Cup is more about getting people together to celebrate. We are coming out of a pandemic, which is the SARS-2 COVID 2019. More and more people have been vaccinated. More and more people really want to go and see the football. But ticket prices have been more than just an arm and leg situation. And the good thing is, you want to make sure you are enjoying the great experience of the World Cup. So I've been hearing the news that more and more airliners are taking charge in terms of ticketing and facilitating. Even apart from Qatar Airways doing their work, Saudia, which is Saudi Arabia's national air carrier, so too is Royal Jordanian, Kuwait Airways, Etihad Airways, Emirates Airways, and not to mention Fly Dubai, among other Gulf airliners, are helping the Qatari nation to airlift as many passengers as possible, because Qatar Airways themselves cannot do it all alone. And with the whole issue about having enough aircrafts, some of which there is a case of bad deals, well, it seems as if things has got really edgy. The truth to be told, that is not an easy job for the Qatari organizers. we must bear in mind that logistics is a whole different thing after each edition of the World Cup. Qatar is a smaller country in terms of land mass, also in terms of population size. But please bear in mind, people, please bear in mind that that their country's GDP makes them the richest in the world. And two things contributed to the country's success: oil and gas, along with tourism. One time, Qatar was once a quiet nation, not so much involved in wars or all these things, but there was fishing going on. When they discovered oil, it wasn't of commercial quantity, so they leave it alone. But years later, when the great demand of gas, in particular liquefied natural gas, or some people refer to it as shale gas, was in record numbers, it became clear that Qatar had to wheel and come again, as our we Jamaicans would put it, or turn things around and get things going. And so the petroleum sector is doing wonders for the Qatari nation. So tourism came along the line since then. Unlike their neighbor, the United Arab Emirates, through the two major cities of Abu Dhabi and Dubai, tourism really has helped Qatar a lot. But the interesting part about football is this. Did you know that Edson Arantes de Nascimento, aka Pele, was responsible for ensuring that Qatar football reached a certain heights, even to this very day when they are preparing to play their first match at the FIFA World Cup? Pele, along with the Santos Football Club team, traveled to Qatar as far back as the early 1970s. At the time, Pele was at the peak of his powers. 3 FIFA World Cup titles to his credit: 1958, 1962, and 1970. Up until his retirement, he brought his team, and the team played well against a Qatar select team. But the interesting part is this. This is a good opportunity for Qatar to at least send a clear message to the rest of the world that they have a good football program. Maybe not big as Saudi Arabia, or even say the most Egypt, which is based in Africa, but they are part of the Arab world per se. The good thing about Qatar is this: spending around 500 or 700 billion dollars on a FIFA World Cup is no pretty talk business. And in spite of all of the negatives that has been associated with this tournament, we have to bear in mind that oil money is big money. And in spite of the fact that there is a global energy crisis brewing, it seems as if the Saudis, along with the Qataris and whichever Arab nations, who are selling the oil on a worldwide scale, thanks to OPEC, well, they are going to make some big money thanks to the fact that the demand is really taking its place. So the supply is dwindling down based on political riffraff, as we call it in Jamaica. Well, you know what I'm talking, the indifferences. But the truth is, this is an eye-opener for Qatar to come out on two great fronts of being good host and even go as far as being a quarterfinalist at the World Cup. They are at home, the pressure's on them. But let me tell you my other teams that will make the quarterfinals. Out of the African continent, Senegal, with Aliou Cisse as the coach and Sadio Mane at the forefront, both as captain and lead striker. The rest is history. He already done it. Thank goodness it was in Dakar, where they played a FIFA World Cup qualifier weeks after the African Cup of Nations, defeated Egypt, who was being captained by who? Mohamed Salah, and secured not only just the African title, but qualification to the World Cup. Going into the World Cup, they have a lot on the plate, but I believe they will have their ticket in the quarterfinals. Much to the same. But of course, I still have issues pertaining to Cameroon in their preparation for the World Cup, not to mention Ghana, who is getting themselves together. I don't know why. But more details will come. Here's the next one I'm looking at out of the Asian continent. So we have Qatar and Iran to make the cut. Iran look like they have a decent team and will play their best football. The best players are playing inside of Europe, but at least they can gel with those homegrown talent. So let's see what is in store at this World Cup. Now, let's look at in the Americas era. North America, Canada. Alfonso Davis looks like he can lead the charge and he has good players everywhere across the length and breadth of Canada and parts of Europe. So it's good to know that the Canadian Soccer Federation is really putting their best team forward to Qatar. They played well in a friendly against Qatar recently, but there's more in store to come. The other team I should be taking a look at on the southern part of the Americas is Brazil. Brazil is the five-time FIFA World Champions 1958, 1962, 1970, 1994, 2002, which is 20 years ago. Guess what? They have history, they have depth, they have everything. Talent, everything. Pragmatic football came into being as of 1986 after the beautiful game or Joga Bonito died a natural death thanks to the Italians at the 1982 tournament in Spain. But here's a good thing. Italia's not there because they get their neck or even their jaws being boxed up during a World Cup qualifier. Well, don't want to be too indecent. But the truth is, tactics, tactics, tactics. Neymar is going to be playing his final World Cup for this matter. He has already secured an Olympic title, but also Thiago Silva will be in his final World Cup. And Dani Alves, who already has an Olympic title to his credit from Tokyo 2020. Good game, good vibes, good energy. But take a look at Brazil's neighbor, who is the most contentious team in FIFA World Cup history, Argentina. Two-time FIFA World Cup champions, 1978 and 1986. Mario Kempes started the revolution while there was a military junta in that country. But what about Diego Maradona, who led a good tournament? Apart from the infamous Hand of God goal at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, he made sure he did his very best to win that world title. Since then, Argentina has been playing lots of football. They go as far as quarterfinals. Well, in recent times, we have seen them went to the finals of the FIFA World Cup in Brazil, only to be defeated by Germany in extra time, thanks to Mario Götze. But it seems as if Messi will have a real shot at this tournament. Let's see if he can really snatch the title from all others, against all odds. Then we have in the European zone. Please listen and listen carefully. We have the Netherlands. Excellent in their gamesmanship and were one of the early qualifiers for the FIFA World Cup. It seems as if Netherlands will do everything in their power, and Louis van Gaal may have been talking to his fellow past teammate who is in charge of the Dutch national team at the World Cup finals coming up. But not to mention that, what about those who were part of the 1990 World Cup squad, like Wood Gullit, Frank Rijkaard, or even say Patrick Kluivert or Clarence Seedorf? At least they're giving some 2 cents to Memphis Depay and company. So let's see what happens. France, on the other hand, is getting into full flight with the World Cup finals. The only sad thing is Paul Pogba and a few others may miss the tournament. Why? Injury issues. Unfortunately indeed. But I hope some good sense will prevail as it relates to Kylian Mbappe going to the World Cup. Because I have heard incident once as it relates to publicity related matters between himself and the relevant institutions responsible for the football in France. But please, 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 make Kylian Mbappe get what he's worth. You understand? what is for Caesar, what is due to Caesar, give it to Caesar. Don't play around. And most importantly, I must say, Didier Deschamps going after the second World Cup title as a coach would make him the most monumental person on earth. The last time a European footballer coach win a World Cup before Didier Deschamps was Franz Beckenbauer. He won it as a player in 1974 in Munich, Germany, and he won it again in 1990 in Rome as player and coach respectively. So the good thing is, there's a lot we can learn from this World Cup. And of course, some form of inspiration will come out. Last but not least, England. England has been playing some good football of lately. Within the last 2 to 3 years, the determination, the tenacity, the style, among other things, and also the flair is there. Not to mention Ryan Sterling, Saka, the whole works. What about a guy like, well, trust me, there's too many players, too many names to call. But the truth is, with Gareth Southgate putting his shoulders to the wheel and organizing the best formation to tackle any of the teams in the World Cup, trust me, it's going to be something worth positive feeling. At least he'll have his hands full when he faces his neighbor, Wales, for that matter, then the United States and Iran. But anyway, with all negative energies pouring out during this World Cup tournament, let's see who will stand out, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below on this YouTube channel as well as Facebook and Instagram. Let us hear your thoughts on what you think. Who will win the FIFA World Cup? The 22nd edition of Qatar 2022. Is it going to be a new country winning the World Cup for the first time? Or is it going to be one of the 8 qualifying winners from previous World Cups? Put your comments, put your questions below in this section. And I encourage you to tune in for live coverage, live uninterrupted coverage of the 22nd Football World Cup starting on the 20th of November through to the 18th of December on CVM TV if you are living in Jamaica. If you are living in Trinidad and Tobago, it's TTTV. Or if you are living in the United States, it's Fox. Or if you are living in the UK, you know it go already. Boom, 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 BBC. Or if you are living in Canada, CBC. Anyway, stay safe, live good, be positive, one love. Shalom.